So, as I promised in my last video, today I will share my thoughts on much liked quote-unquote budget speakers from KEF, the Q150. To all of their fans, just be aware, like in any of my reviews, I tend to not shy away from critique. Which takes me to the first point, looks and build quality. Originally offered at $500, the Q150's cabinet quality is honestly just so-so in the best case. Overall, the design is pretty basic, terminals on the back feel rather cheap, and the vinyl structure is similar to that of the wallpaper. Thus, it is not very scratch resistant and quite difficult to clean. Some may like the way it reflects the light, but I am not sure how much this effect is desired on a speaker. Fortunately, a solid, eye-catching aluminum UniQ driver saves the situation a bit, even more so in the white color option. Still, in my opinion, it cannot compare to the similarly priced Triangles, Wavdells, or maybe even ELAC in this regard. At this point you may want to click away thinking it's gonna be a harsh one, but please let me state clearly, I don't think savings in build quality are the ultimate deal breaker. In the end it could very well mean more resources were put into the engineering inside. So what we are dealing here with exactly? The Q150 sound signature seems targeted towards the average consumer a bit, meaning they put emphasis on bass and treble, giving slight V-shape like frequency range characteristics. This appears to be conferred by my measurements, though because they are only limited to my listening room, let's compare them to my reference Quadral Platinum Plus 2. So both are relatively bass-heavy players, but as you can notice with the KEF, there is a slight dip in the lower mid-range, more specifically 800 to 1500 Hz area. Plus the line seems to go up a bit from 10 kHz. The good news, however, is that energetic treble most of the time does not translate into listening fatigue. Perhaps it is because of satisfactory balance between other frequencies. And with some additional sparkle, one may argue you get a deeper insight into the recording. Indeed, the little details, clicks and snares in the music are often quite nicely picked up by the Q150s. This also helps to achieve very good sound imaging those speakers provide. Maybe the top end is not the most refined I've ever heard, but for the price the balance is just right, which I couldn't say about the overpowering highs of Wavdell Diamond 12.2s for example. The mid-range, as I've showed you, is slightly tamed down in here. The keyword is slightly, because honestly it was not that obvious to me from the beginning. That's because the vocals from the Q150s are actually pretty good, with sense of boosted wideness. Though actually it would not surprise me if that was an effect of linear measurements in the upper mids and slightly tuned down lower mids. Either way, the key is the mid-range completes the speaker's characteristics fairly well. The bass right from the first few tracks surprised me with power and pleasing tonality. It's honestly quite surprising how much they push this little 5-inch driver to move. Okay, it feels boosted in some areas, but I don't mind it much, because like I've mentioned, it's pleasing, relaxing and good for listening at lower volumes. This speaker actually shines at lower volumes and with nearby listening. Probably in part thanks to that coaxial driver, but also the sound signature, which somewhat reminds me of a loudness button found in some amplifiers, though of course much more subtle and usable. On the other hand, you probably won't find Q150s exceptional when playing loud, nor the scale will blow you away. Those are in the end smaller speakers and you can sometimes hear that. Whereas the soundstage is pretty wide, its height and depth probably won't match rivals with bigger cabinet. And before you say this is the territory of its bigger brother Q350, let me say I personally think those Q150s are much better, producing a sound that's overall more clear and coherent. All in all, whereas KEF Q150s are not the best at being reference speakers, generally I found them to provide lively, engaging and musical sound signature. Even more of an attribute is the superpower at lower volumes, something not many speakers will match. So once again, key advantages of Q150 consist of great performance at lower volumes and nearby listening, wide soundstage, good imaging and high level of detail. On the flip side, you won't witness huge authority and power, and the highs may sound too messy for some. Also, the build quality and design could be improved. Overall, accounting KEF Q150 costs about $300 right now. I have to give them 4.5 out of 5 stars. Given the ELAC DBB 6.2s received the same rating, I just couldn't go lower. Also, I found the sound to be more pleasing than with both the Wavell Diamond 12.2s and Q Acoustics 3030Is, which received 4 stars. And that would be all. I won't tell you to subscribe, the choice is yours. However, consider that if you don't want to miss my upcoming reviews of at least just an interesting pair of speakers. Next is probably Triangle Borea 3, I want to say. So stay tuned for that. I'm out. Deuces.